20 years. I ended up being a preferred lender for Invitation Homes. They're the largest holder of single-family homes in the United States.
How much money did we make on that deal?
$62,500 a piece.
Total of $125,000.
$125,000.
You joined the coaching program, right? You were making a shift in your business and running things on your own. How's business look now?
Unbelievable. When you have somebody like yourself in your corner encouraging you and talking to you, and we're on these calls 3 days a week, it's pretty hard to not believe in yourself and what you're doing. I'm super thankful to have you in my life, man. Not only as a coach and a mentor, but as a friend.
As a friend. All right, brother. What's up, buddy?
Let's go.
Want to ride or what?
Oh, hell yeah, let's get on.
Let's go have some fun, dude. All right, let's roll. We out of this. So, dude, let's talk, man. Mr. Chad, why don't you tell us your last name so people aren't confused?
His last name is pronounced Focht.
Focht.
Spelled
It's not
F-O-C-H-T.
Focht?
It's
not
Focht. Focht. Yeah. Focht it.
Yeah.
I just Focht.
Chad
CHT
Focht.
is silent. It's a French-German mix
Yeah.
of some kind. It's actually the
Are you French and German?
I am actually, I think, I've never done the 23andMe blood test and all that stuff, but
You should check it out. You might be surprised.
I know, and I've thought about it. When my grandfather passed away, I wanted to get this tattoo, and he had this family crest on his desk for as long as I could remember. And so I was going to get this family crest. When he passed away, and then I opened it up, I realized it was just like a print from like the 70s or something. It had nothing to do with like our family crest. And so
Yeah.
I was doing my research on it. It turns out a family crest is changed each generation. So you would have one, your wife would have one, and then when you married, you would create your own,
Oh, okay.
right? So your kids would get that, and then when they married, it would change again.
Yeah.
And so as I was going through that, the guy who was doing the tattoo made me do all this research, and my grandmother's cousin was the librarian in San Francisco. And so I went to him. He was a big genealogy guy and told me that basically I'm a Viking.
Well, you look like a damn Viking.
So, yeah, right? And what was funny about that is my buddies would call me a Viking for as long as I could remember.
Yeah.
And so
You look like you could rip some people in half
probably could.
with your bare hands.
Yeah. It's controlled violence.
Yeah. That's one way to say it.
And so yeah, I'm not exactly sure, but that's what he was telling me, and that's really my mom's side. I don't really know my dad's side too well because I'm adopted by my stepdad.
Okay.
My birth dad left when I was about 4 years old or so, and then didn't meet him until I was 37 years old.
Wow. What was that like?
It was a crazy experience.
You probably felt like you were out of body the whole time.
Oh
right?
yeah. What he did was he hired a private investigator to find me because my last name had changed. And it was originally Lake. And so he hires this private investigator, finds me. He actually found me 2 years earlier. But was fearful, scared to reach out, right?
Yeah.
And so when he did, he sends me this text message. And man, I just started crying. And my youngest daughter, who's now 17, comes in and sits next to me and just holds my hand.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I'm getting emotional. So then I go out into the other living room and she just follows me out there and sits next to me. And I couldn't find the courage or anything to write back right away. And he ends up calling me later that afternoon. And I knew right away when I saw the number, I'm like, that has to be.
That's it. Yeah.
So I answered it, and 2 days later, I flew out to Texas and met him for the first time. And what's crazy is that when I was little, I have memories of him teaching me how to shave.
Really?
Yeah.
You said it was age 4 or 5 though, right?
Yeah.
And you have memories back then.
And I have memories.
I think I played too much football. I knocked all the memories out of my head. There's only so much I can remember just within the past 3 months, but that's pretty crazy, dude.
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
So then, obviously, meeting him was super special. I was out there for, I think, 3 or 4 days, and yeah, turns out I have a half brother. He's known about me his whole life. Going to his house, there's pictures of me in the house. There was one of me sitting on a Harley Davidson. Yeah. I guess I used to go out and try to start the motorcycle. And And sometimes he would have it running, I guess, in the garage, and I'd go out there and I'd just start revving it up.
Yeah.
I don't remember that, but he's got pictures of it, which is it's pretty funny.
You know what's funny is when we get together, it's rare that we actually talk much about real estate. You're a really good storyteller. Have you always been good at telling stories and just kind of like capturing the moment of how you feel, or a memory, or like what's that, like how'd that all come together?
I've been told that. I never really looked at myself like that. I think it's just being authentic to what you're saying, but I think the people skill part of it in doing that, because I think that's a big part of having the skill of talking to people, came from being little. It's just my mom and I, right? And then we lived with my grandparents at the time, and so I was going to school, and then we moved to a town called El Centro in Brawley, which is about 2 hours east of here.
Yeah, you were in El Centro, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
On the border, only white kid in school.
Yeah.
Used to pick on me a lot. And so then from there, my mom had met my dad. We moved to Central California up near Paso Robles, San Luis Obispo. Went to a different school. One-room schoolhouse, middle of nowhere. Lived on 1,000 acres. Then from there, moved into Elk Grove, Sacramento. That was a culture shock in itself. So I think moving a lot when I was little and just being around different kids and different cultures, and it's kind of a survival skill, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? Versus being in the same school your entire life. I suppose you could still
yeah.
that, but
no, that's interesting, because when you first like came into adulthood and started working, you started in real estate loans, right?
I did.
Okay. What was that whole experience like?
Oh man, it was so I knew that I wanted to get into real estate and do something in that field. So I actually started as a transaction coordinator.
Okay.
For a buyers only agency up in a town called Sonora. And I worked for this guy for a year. And so what I did was I would drive up on Monday, I'd work all week, and then I'd drive back into SAC on the weekend.
How old were you at this time?
Gosh, I must have been 22, 23 years old.
Okay.
Young.
Yeah.
I didn't know my ass from the hole in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that was difficult because we had our first daughter. So my daughter now that's 24, Audrey. And I decided I needed to do something different. I needed to be back with my family. And so I golf a lot. I was out listening to music, and I was putting on a putting green. And I get this call from my buddy, and he's like, Chad, never believe this. I made like $7,000 this month selling loans. And I was like, what? $7,000 in a month? That's crazy.
Yeah.
And so he hooked me up with a headhunter down in Orange County. I called this guy for like a month. Finally got in touch with him. Had to do an interview. I'd never worn a suit in my life. My mom goes and buys me a suit. We get it fitted in like 2 days at Men's Warehouse. In fact, Missy was the gal. She's the manager at the same Men's Warehouse. And I still go
back.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
She's my girl. And she remembers that. I mean, that was a young...
That was a big moment, right?
It was. And so this interview, I thought like it was a basic interview. Well, when I get in there, it turns out I have to be interviewed by everybody in this branch. It was a portfolio retention branch. And so I was there for 8 hours.
Wow.
They actually made me jump on a call.
In that first interview, huh?
In that first interview during one of their power hours. And so I got the job. In the first 30 days, I made like $18,000. And I was like, I'm never going back. Like, this is the most amazing thing. And I remember at the time, it was like I knew the check was going through. I didn't tell my wife at the time what it was going to be. And so back then there was no app or anything to really get online to see, right? So you had to call the bank and listen to like this automated message. So I was like, I woke her up at like 12:30 and I was like, hey, you should call the bank and see what's in there right now. And so
you should see what's in there right now.
And so from that point, it was like, you know, I went from that, and then I was there for a year. The average lifespan, it was a company called AmeriQuest. Average lifespan was 30 days. It was like 30 to 45 days. Because they made us work. Like, the first year I worked 6 days a week. I took 2 Saturdays off. I remember I worked Christmas Eve. I didn't make it to my in-laws until, I think, 10 p.m. that night. 'Cause I had a signing.
They took the home loans serious, huh?
Yeah, and I was out to, like, make a difference. It's like, if I can make this kind of money, like, whatever effort I put into it is what I'm going to get out of it, right? It's not like a standard salary job or hourly job, right? It was 100% commission. And I was just devoted to learning and getting it done. And some of those guys in that branch I still know to this day and keep in touch with. And so then I went to the broker side. I learned the broker side of the business. And then that just kind of progressed. And then over 20 years, you know, I ended up being a preferred lender for Invitation Homes, which is owned by Blackstone, a hedge fund out of New York.
Yep.
They're the largest holder of single-family homes in the United States.
Yep.
So learning then how to build teams and...
What was that experience like, working with such a big company? Was it good? Was it kind of bad? It was a pain in the ass? What was it like?
It was a pain in the ass at times, but...
Because they were demanding and they just were
demanding. It
rigid and difficult.
Hour call every single day. So I'm still running my regular business.
Oh, okay.
And at the same time, running a business for them as well. And we built teams here, Phoenix, Tampa, Cincinnati, Chicago.
Wow.
Right? So we had teams all over the United States in their markets. And so what they were doing was they were developing a program called the Resident First Look program. They were looking to go public. And so they were establishing a benchmark of lowering their friction costs of selling the home. So if they had a portfolio valuation of $15 billion, could they then make it $17 billion by showing that the reduced friction cost of selling to the residents could then increase the value of the portfolio when they went public?
Right.
And so in that process, we ended up having to go down to their headquarters in Dallas. And we took the owner of my company, Todd Screama, who went with me, and a couple other guys. And I thought Todd was going to do it. So I prepped all this stuff for a week going into it. We didn't have a lot of time. And so we're sitting in the lobby, and I'm going over it with him. And he's like, no, you're going to do it. I'm going to do it?
In the lobby?
In the lobby.
Yeah.
This is the largest holder
with
of
a hedge
single-family homes in the United States, right?
That's insane.
And I remember being so nervous, but I came out of that whole experience so much more confident in my ability to do what I do, right? Now working with, it could be the biggest realtor in the United States.
Doesn't even compare, right?
Doesn't compare. And it's like, they're still people. They're still human beings, right? You're still going to treat them a certain way, right? So that it gave me a huge amount of confidence moving forward in my business and being able to do what I do.
Yeah.
So yeah, a pain, but great learning experience. I'm so thankful for it. It was awesome.
It's pretty crazy. You said something there that I think people get in their own way and have a limiting belief.
Oh,
when I played
fight it.
When I played in the NFL, when I've met billionaires, when I've done different stuff like that, each time I've met these people, they're just people.
They're just people.
Right?
Yeah.
Like Phillip Rivers is Phillip Rivers. Antonio Gates, like they were cool people, like really cool people.
Yeah.
And it was just like when you're in the locker room behind closed doors without the media, without any of that stuff, just people.
Just people.
You know, my son was on the same team as another kid for soccer. And to make a long story short, I ended up finding out through emails that we were exchanging, one of the dads was a part of the Padres organization. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I wonder if he's a coach or something.
Yeah.
No, it was one of the billionaire owners of the Padres. And
who just clinched by the other day. Just clinched a playoff spot.
That's cool, yeah, right?
Pretty awesome.
And I just so happened to be standing next to him at games and just having small chit chat. And I was like, it's crazy. So then I told him, hey, because he actually ended up owning a team in my hometown. He owned a AAA team. And so there was like an entry level to have some more advanced small talk. Yeah. But yeah, all just people. So that's cool. So you come out of that, you're confident. You've had this long career. What made you say, I want to be on the real estate investing side? I want to be on the real estate. I want to be a real estate agent.
Yeah. So that process, one, they were flipping homes at the time. I was also the preferred lender for some of the biggest flippers in Northern California, a company called Folsom Asset Management. They were flipping 400 homes a year. They had a fund of, I think, $30 million. And so some of the bigger flippers, and I always wanted to do that, but my identity was that of a lender.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I wanted to do it. I remember going back to like 2012, 2013, wanting to do it, but I didn't have the balls to pull the trigger because of my own limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
Right? And I can't do that. I'm a lender. Even though I financially could.
Yeah.
And I felt like I had the skill to. It just, you have that limiting belief of, I can't do it. It's too complicated. There's too much risk.
Right.
Right? And so fast forward, it was 2021. I was on the beach with Bobby Peterson for his birthday. We were there with his wife. His wife asked me, "Hey, Chad, if you could do anything in the world, it didn't matter if money, education, time, nothing mattered, what would you do?" First thing I said was I'd fly airplanes. I love to fly.
Huh. Have you flown?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. You have like your license and all that good
I
stuff?
don't have my license.
We just got a buddy with a plane and they're like, hey, take the wheel.
So my uncle's been a pilot for 40 years. So as a kid, every birthday, Christmas, he would give me an hour lesson. And during this time too, I started flying and actually taking lessons myself to the point of being able to solo. And really it just came down to finances. Like, can I buy a plane? What are the costs associated with the airplane? So if I'm going to go through with it, let's get to a point financially where I can buy a plane.
Yeah.
And where I'm comfortable doing something like that, right?
Yeah.
And so a few hours later after this conversation, I'm thinking to myself, why? I wouldn't do that for a living. That's a hobby, right?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have the same flexibility or freedom to like be able to hang out with my family and my friends if I'm on the road flying all the time.
You're
really what I wanted
30,000
to do.
feet stuck in a plane.
You're on the road, right? So really, I'd want to get into the investment side of real estate. So I made a call to Bobby that week, and I said, hey, can we sit down and have lunch? I want to pick your brain on something. I was just going to do it by myself. And so long story short, we met for 3 hours that day. We ended up going and looking at a property that ultimately we purchased. And in that couple of weeks, we would talk every day. And he's like, you know what? I want to scale my business and take it bigger. You have a different skill set than me. Why don't we come together? I'll teach you everything I know. You help me. Let's do that for a year and then break off on your own and do it on your own.
Yeah.
Great idea. So 2 weeks after that initial conversation, at the time I was managing the West Coast for Mutual of Omaha, a lender based out of Chicago, and I quit.
Just pulled the plug, huh?
Pulled the plug. And I'm like, I'm going to go all in on this. And I remember everybody telling me, you're crazy. What are you doing? You have a great career. You have a great job. Why are you doing this? So much doubt. Because to the average person, that's
scary.
A crazy leap of faith. It's a crazy thing to do. What are you going to do financially? I mean, it was tough. But at this point, I believed in myself. And it's like, I'm going to bet on myself. Like, let's get after it and do it. And so that's how that change moved. And so even on Instagram, I used to be the mortgage pro. So I changed that to just Chad Focht.
Chad Focht. Chad Focht. Yeah.
Chad Focht. It was funny in my younger days too, playing football. That's how we'd break the huddle. 1, 2, 3, 4. Which is pretty fun.
That's clever.
So, it was. It took me a minute to get here, and it really came down to just believing in myself, betting on myself, and I still fight those, you know, those doubts and those limiting beliefs at times. It's like, how big can I go? You know, you limit yourself. Let's say you want to say, I want to make $1 million a year. And we know that you can go much bigger than that, right? So it's like, well, can I?
Right.
Go bigger. Do I have the skill set? Do I have the ability to do it? And so I still fight that. Well, how big do I want to go?
Yeah.
Right.
Do you feel like you always had the entrepreneurial spirit, or you just kind of fell into it and it happened, or?
I've always had a great work ethic. So from the time I was, 15 and a half, I started bussing tables at the country club where my grandparents were members at, which was a shitty job. Waking up at 4:30 in the morning, going in, making coffee, getting everything ready. So always working. And then one of my buddies, his grandfather owned a drilling company. And so in the summers, my buddy didn't want to work for his grandpa. It was hard ass work. I mean, you're up on the road at 5 a.m. You're not getting back until, 7, 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And so his name was Corky. And I remember like, hey, Corky, I want to work for you. So he's like, all right, let's go. And they busted my ass. But I didn't care. I'm making money, man. Like, I want to work. I'm not sitting around doing nothing. And so I started working in the summers for him. And then really
would you say that's what most people are missing, is the hard work?
I think so. I think hard work trumps everything.
Yeah.
Right? You can have all the talent in the world. And if you don't apply the work ethic to it, you're not going to do shit.
Yeah.
And you might be able to do something, right? But I think ultimately it's hard work. You got to put in the work. You can't sit back and do nothing, right? I think it's all going to come to you just because you got a smooth mouthpiece and you got good talent.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So yeah, hard work I think is a huge part, at least in my opinion.
Cool. Well, with that, we're going to take a break and we're going to be right back.
Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the podcast. I wanted to take a moment to tell you about my coaching program and the community. Besides teaching you exactly what we're doing in our multiple 7-figure real estate investing business, we also have several group coaching calls a week, and I give you my personal cell phone so you can text me whenever you need help. Now, if you're ready to take things to the next level, click the link down below in the description to apply. Now let's get back to the podcast. Let's go.
All right, so when did we meet? Do you remember where we met?
Hollywood was the first time
We met in Hollywood?
with Bobby.
Okay, were you there at that event?
Yeah.
Okay, because I remember having a late night conversation with Bobby. We were at a Pineda event, right?
Yep.
And
Dave and Buster's, I think.
we were Dave and Buster's.
Also Johnny Knoxville that same night.
What do you mean, Johnny Knoxville?
Johnny Knoxville.
You saw him there?
Oh yeah.
What?
I went up and bullshitted with him for like.
You did?
Yeah, 5 minutes.
Was he at Dave and Buster's?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see him there.
Super nice guy. and
John, I grew up on
Derrick
Johnny
Henry,
Knoxville.
the running back.
Derrick Henry was there?
Yeah.
Oh, he's sick, dude. He's a beast. So I met Bobby that night. That's how we all got connected, right?
Yeah.
And,
Then we did. You guys.
Then we did a meetup.
Up
We
in
did
Sac.
a meetup up in Sac.
Yep.
And dude, you got a killer meetup up there. Right, a bunch of people on fire. We had almost a couple hundred people there.
I think it was like 225 or something.
Yeah. That's kind of how our relationship started. It was just kind of, but that's what's crazy, right? That's what happens when you put yourself out there, put yourself in the right rooms. It creates the opportunities for stuff like that. And flash forward, now it's probably been 2 years since we first met, or a little over a year.
Yeah, a year and a half.
Yeah, a year and a half, I'd say. You reach out to me and you're like, hey, I want to check out your coaching program.
Yeah.
I want to take a look at this thing. I want to take things serious. So you joined the coaching program and you just dive right. You wanted to go 1,000 miles an hour, by the way.
Yeah, you kind of reeled me back a little bit.
Yeah. Well,
It's
that's
like,
good.
hey, one step at a time, right?
Yeah. But what has your experience been like so far? What's it been like to go through the coaching program and to just get that additional support and guidance and mentoring, all that type of stuff?
I mean, it's one, you and I talking about community, right, with our friends and our family and having those people around us. It's very similar, just in a business form, right?
Yeah.
So having those people around where you can bounce ideas off of each other, ask questions, support each other, I think is amazing. And then, we were talking about limiting beliefs earlier. When you have somebody like yourself in your corner encouraging you and talking to you, and we're on these calls 3 days a week, it's pretty hard to not believe in yourself and what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like this, pat on the ass. Let's go, kid.
Yeah.
And it's been amazing as far as a confidence builder, knowledge, so many things. I think back, because I originally had talked to you about it a year ago when you guys came and did the meetup.
Yeah.
Didn't pull the trigger.
Right.
And totally kicked myself in the ass for not doing it then. Because I think, where would my business be now, having a jump start of another year on it.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it's been an amazing experience. What I think is so awesome about it, people think coaching is just to we're just going to coach you on what you're doing in your business. But something I think that you do different than a lot of people is it's literally from the ground up. So if you know nothing, like you don't have a corporation or entity, what do you do to get that set up? What are the steps? Who do you contact? Right?
Yeah.
It's every aspect of the business, and the modules take you through step by step. And what's nice, you can always go back. So it's like if you didn't quite grasp something or whatever it might be, right? Property radar. You can always go back there and then rewatch it, right?
Yeah. So you kind of talked about it. You've got information, that's one piece, but the actual ongoing support, the ongoing connection with the community is a whole nother part of it. So
yep.
I look to you as somebody who is really great at understanding the value of a community and pouring into that as well.
Yep.
So how much has that helped you, just having that mindset that you're going to be a part of the community, you're going to pour into it and add value to it as well?
Well, they do say that, when you are learning something and then you start teaching it or helping other people do the same thing, it just re-solidifies in the brain what it is that you're doing, right?
Yeah.
So that's one aspect. Another aspect that I really didn't think about was, you don't want to be the guy that doesn't close any deals.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the guy that's like,
I remember you saying that on
I
some
talk
of my calls.
about it all the time, but I don't do shit. So that competitive nature kicks in where you're like, I'm not showing up and then not bringing value or not bringing something to the table and not closing deals.
Yeah.
Right? And sharing those experiences. So there's the competitive nature of it as well, right? But it's
it just adds a new level of accountability, right?
It's a totally new level of it. And you have to have accountability, right? Like, I preach this to, within the family, to our kids. It's like they have to have accountability. They have to have responsibility. You have to hold them accountable because they're too young. They'll just go off and do whatever it is they want to do.
Yeah.
And then you're just enabling bad behavior.
Yeah, when you don't have
Right?
when you don't have structure, when you don't have
Yep.
guidance and support, you're just going to kind of just figure it out. And I can speak for myself.
Slowly, by the way.
Slowly.
Slowly.
A lot slower. Speaking for myself, that's part of my journey, and I've told my story over and over. I held myself back. I got in my own way and told myself, I got to do it on my own. I can't afford coaching. And I ended up losing a lot of money because of that, doing the wrong deals, wasting time, all sorts of things. So, it's just kind of once you get your eyes open to it and then you experience it, then
Yep.
you don't want to do it any other way.
I think coaching too is, you can try to figure it out on yourself. You can watch YouTube videos. You can do these things and try to put the puzzle together yourself.
Yeah.
Or you can have somebody like yourself in that community show you where the puzzle pieces go and put it together that much faster.
Yeah.
So instead of waiting, say, 6 months or a year to get your first deal, you're getting those deals a lot faster, more frequently, and then building that business faster. So instead of that, that projection scale of your business growing, a lot of times you see it flatlining for a long time before it starts to take off. Whereas with coaching, it escalates so much faster. And so yes, you might pay some money for the coaching, but the amount of money you would have lost by not having coaching, by not growing your business as fast, totally outweighs it. Like, why would you wait?
Yeah.
Like,
When you understand that and you put that in context, then, I mean, that's my biggest regret. I wish I would have started sooner, gotten clarity, gotten support, guidance, and that's what moves the needle. So, I want to talk about the deal we just got done closing. Okay.
that's a good one.
How much money did we make on that deal?
$62,500 a piece.
A piece. Total of $125,000.
$125,000, yeah.
That's pretty crazy, right?
It's wild.
Did you imagine that those deals were like possible? That could just be like a normal every other deal?
I knew they were possible, but a wholesale deal like that?
A wholesale deal.
Right, it wasn't like,
deal.
hey, we flipped the property and put 6 months of work into it and, incurred expenses along the way that we had to float, right? It was, how much money out of our pocket? Zero, right? It was...
It's crazy. So let's take them through the story, because there was quite a story with this deal, right?
Yeah.
So I'll kick it off. So we got this deal under contract, and we knew we had something.
Yep.
We weren't sure really quite what we had. We knew we had something. We knew there was money to be made, but we weren't like 100% sure.
It was a little remote, up in the hills.
Little remote, up in the hills. So this property wasn't in our normal market, right? It was up in Soda Springs.
Soda Springs.
Which is right by Truckee. It's like its stepsister.
Yeah,
right
a little
there.
half hour outside of Truckee.
And then it was all, which is close to Tahoe.
Yep.
Right? So for me, again, I felt like we had something, but I felt like we needed someone else to work with us on the deal. And you were the first person I thought of.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
That was a great day.
That was, yeah, no. I thought, man, Chad, this dude, he's going to help us get the deal done. Which is so cool about real estate, right? There's so many opportunities to collaborate, work with other people.
Like, isn't that the beautiful part about it?
It's so cool, dude.
Like, if you think about it, whether it's, you and I or Bobby and myself, doesn't matter who it is, right? It's you and Dean or Stratton or whoever, right? We're all running separate businesses, yet we all come together to work on stuff together to make shit happen. Like, that's a beautiful thing. And I can't think of any other business where it really operates like that, right? I think of even traditional real estate. It doesn't work like that. Everybody's just worried about themselves, worried about their own business, right? They're not really collaborating and working on things like that together.
Yeah.
Right?
The traditional sense of real estate, you don't see it.
Nope.
And real estate investing, when you're with the right people, with the right mindset, there's unlimited opportunities.
Unlimited.
Yeah. So, dude, I reach out to you. I'm like, hey, man, take a look at this deal. Look at the numbers. Tell me what you think. I feel like we're onto something. You ran your numbers, right?
Yep.
You came back to me. Yeah, man, I think we got something. I was like, do you think you have a buyer? Right?
Figured that out in 24 hours or so?
24 hours. Dude.
Yeah.
Guys, this is what's so cool, okay? So, like, there's so many ways to add value. It doesn't matter where you're at, where you're starting, how many deals you've done, you can add value. And instantly, you added value. You had a buyer, brought it to the table. We put the contract together.
Yep.
And moved the deal forward, right?
There was some hand-holding through that.
So let's talk
Right.
about that.
Yeah.
Because that's some real life stuff, right? Did we just instantly make 125? No.
No.
This buyer made us work for a little bit.
Made us work for it a little bit. And there was, there was a tenant that was in place.
Yeah.
The father of the son, who had lived there for 30 years,
Yeah.
wasn't trying to go anywhere. There's probably some animosity within the family. I know the
Yep.
grandfather had left it to his grandson and kind of skipped over the dad. So I'm sure there's something going on there. So yeah, then working how to get through that with a tenant in place, still be able to close on it. Yeah, it took some hand holding.
So that's another thing that's, for those that don't obviously know the full story here, that's another cool thing about this deal is Chad took action on helping to problem solve, right? We all work together as a team to problem
Yep.
solve through this situation. Now, there's going to be some deals you have where, there's a tenant in place, there's family that's in place of the house, and you got to work through it amongst many other scenarios.
Yep.
And this buyer wanted us to get him as much clarity as possible. He was
Yep.
willing to buy it with the family, the
tenant in
tenants in
place.
place,
Yep.
but he wanted some clarity. So you jumped into action. You were willing to drive to the property. You were willing to figure out what agreements or paperwork we needed in place so that we could see it through, right?
Yep.
So we got a new visitor here.
Little friend.
Yeah. So that's what was also cool about it, is to see you in action and us to work together as a team. It's fun, right?
It is fun, and I think when you work like that with people that are like-minded and have the same attitude, like, is it really work?
No, dude.
I don't feel like it's really work.
just-
You and I having a conversation about something real quick, it's like, I'm not like, shit, I gotta deal with Dean.
Yeah.
He's such a pain in my ass.
I don't gotta go
He
finish
talks
these
too much.
TPS reports,
Yeah, it's it's like we're just having fun while we're doing it, which is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. So, dude, that was a real treat for me to be able to work with you on that deal.
I appreciate the opportunity.
So
I know that
freaking
took
cool.
a huge amount of trust on
Yeah.
your side to give me that opportunity. So
We're talking
I'm
about
forever thankful.
$125,000, dude. Like
So-
for most people, and I'm not saying it's not for us, life-changing money.
Most people wouldn't even believe it.
Most people wouldn't believe it.
Wouldn't even believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But did you end up ever seeing the house?
No,
Didn't see the house.
just a picture.
I didn't see the
Yeah.
house. I didn't even see pictures. I saw a Google Street View,
Yeah, that's
Right?
what. That's what.
which I had to like move around these trees and stuff.
Yeah.
I personally never spoke to the seller. You didn't either.
No, actually, I did. I
did you?
did talk to the seller
Okay,
at the end.
you did a three-way call, right?
With Angel.
Yeah.
Awesome guy, by the way. Your
Yeah.
team is solid.
Yeah.
Like, I was talking to Bobby about it. I'm like, man, that operation is smooth. These guys all work together. Like, it's in unison. It's pretty
what
special
it takes,
to see
man.
because you don't see that a lot.
No.
But yeah, and the guy was super nice. Turns out he had a whole plan of action in place of moving his dad up to Montana and had a 2-week plan to get him out of the house. And so after talking to him, obviously felt a lot more comfortable. And
Yeah.
I think I talked to him on the day we closed. Angel put us on a 3-way, but yeah, super nice guy.
But
And thankful for you guys, for what you guys did for him. Like, the guy was just super thankful, over the top. It was
yeah.
pretty awesome to see.
Well, yeah. I mean, he was in a tough spot, right? He's working with his dad. He's gotten some issues and situation going on. Ends up, wanting to sell the house. Made contact with us, and he's in this chicken or the egg situation. What do I do with my dad?
Yeah.
And we help solve that problem, right? And when you help solve big problems, usually that can lead to big paydays.
And I think if you think about it, that whole process, whether it's, that specifically to the seller, it's along the way. It's always, how do we solve the problem? Right? Instead of, freaking out that this has happened or thinking about it in a different way, it's like, how do we just solve the problem and having that mindset of just solving it?
Yeah.
And I think that goes into our business in general, right? It's what are we doing when we're buying homes off market and we are wholesaling and we're flipping or buying them as rentals or whatever exit strategy we have. At the end of the day, it comes down to solving a problem. And then how deep do we go to figure out what that problem is? Because what I find anyways is the first thing that somebody says is typically not really the real answer,
Right.
right? Because they're
Yeah.
afraid.
You gotta uncover it, right?
They, they're embarrassed. There's so many reasons of why they don't give you that answer. So you've really got to dig deep and build that rapport, and dive down to what the true need is and what that problem is, so you can actually solve it.
Yeah.
So
It's a unique thing that the position, what business we're doing in real estate investing, because most people think of it in the traditional sense where you buy a house, you flip it up, and they see that part.
Yep.
But the other side of that is what we focus on most.
Yeah.
And what actually makes the most difference is the person that you're helping, the seller, right?
Absolutely.
The problems that you're solving, the solutions you're providing, and being able to be empathetic and supportive through that situation
Yeah.
with them, and to navigate the obstacles that present themselves. And so it was just so cool to be able to do that with you, and we crushed it as a team, dude.
Unbelievable.
So cool.
Thank you. No, it's funny. I was talking to somebody. I had another deal that I just closed on Monday, and this guy's a semi-hoarder. I might have told you about him. Collects paperwork. He has paperwork from like the 70s, man.
Yeah.
Like the day of that we close, he starts getting cold feet of like, I don't know if I want to move, and I don't know if the price is right on the house. And Don, I'm not talking about this right now. I'm gonna come over to the house. I'll see you at 8. He goes, I don't know, what about 10? I'll see you at 9, no later. 3 hours sitting with him,
I believe it.
walking him through this process of how to make this move. And it was, so I was talking to a friend of mine. I'm like, I feel like a therapist,
Yeah, that's what it is, man.
legitimate therapist,
Yeah.
right? But I think you can only be the therapist if you really do have genuine care
Genuine.
for helping the people and solving their problem, right?
So if you didn't catch that, guys, 3 hours. 3 hours is what it took.
Yep.
Too often we want to rush through it. We want it to almost maybe be too easy. I don't know what it is, right? We get frustrated. Oh man, this person's not ready yet. Take the time.
You got to take the time.
Take the time.
Yeah.
I mean, you said it right now. Another example, my partner and I just closed a deal that we kept as a rental property, a duplex, and the seller, my partner sat down with for 2 hours. Okay, you beat him with the 3, but sat down with him for 2 hours, and he said at the end, "I'm going to go with you guys because no one's taken the time to just talk with me."
Yeah.
And
People want to feel heard.
so important,
They
man.
want to feel like they're cared about, right? And
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day in this business, you have to have that mentality. If you don't, I think it'll just show in your business, right? You're not going to be that successful.
Yeah. So you joined the coaching program, right? You were making a shift in your business and running things on your own, right? How's business look now?
Unbelievable. Yeah, it's growing. Multiple deals in the pipeline. Multiple deals have closed since that. With that guy, what we did was we bought his house, wholesaled it, helped him find a replacement property, closed on that. In fact, just got another one in contract out in Davis. So it was a listing.
Oh shoot!
Little 925. We ended up getting an offer at 940. Had multiple offers, and then helping him relocate and find his replacement property.
Yeah.
And going into that too is like he wanted a cash offer. I go to visit him and look at the house, and I'm like, he's from Colombia.
Yeah.
They don't do traditional real estate like we do here in the United States. They just go and make an offer. It's a 1-page, 2-page sheet. I want to buy your house. You pay for the house. They don't have all these disclosures and this process and open houses and the MLS. They don't have any of that, right?
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want to deal with that. I'm like, listen, I totally understand that. This isn't the right move for you. Let my team help you. We'll sell it traditionally. Make it easy on you. We'll walk you through that process and make it as easy and streamlined as possible, right?
Yeah.
And ultimately, he is the easiest guy to deal with. Like, unbelievable heart. Like, such a great human, which I feel super blessed about. It's like, I gotta get this guy as a client.
Yeah,
right?
that's cool.
I wish everybody was like that. But yeah, so we locked that one up yesterday. Open escrow this morning.
Heck yeah.
Sitting at our hotel on the beach here visiting you.
Yeah.
So yeah, things are going good. I did.
Life is good.
It's amazing. Yep.
Now we're chilling here on the beach.
Chilling on the beach.
Toes in the sand, man. Look at us. It's
Living
cool.
a good life.
It's fun.
Yeah.
So appreciate you, man. What a cool deal we did together. First of many. And
Absolutely.
just been super grateful to have you as part of the coaching program, and just to have you closer, because when you get around good people
Yep.
that want to do better, that want to have better lives, who want to help people, who want to add value, who want to be a part of a community, man, that's just fun.
It is.
It's a lot more fun.
It's not work.
Yeah.
To me, it's not anyways. That's what I love about it, right?
Yeah.
You're not going in and clocking in, and it's an amazing opportunity. I'm super thankful to have you in my life, man. So
For sure.
not only as a coach and a mentor, but as a friend.
As a friend. Yep. For sure. All right, brother. With that, guys, we're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying the podcast. If you're listening to this right now and you're just getting started, or you're doing this on your own, you might be struggling or not have clear direction. And I get it. When I first got started, I got some results, but I wasted a lot of time and made some big mistakes that cost me a lot of money. Now, I don't want the same for you, and I know I can help because after a handful of coaches and joining masterminds, we learned how to take our business to multiple 7 figures a year. Now, if you're interested in learning how you can join the coaching program and the community, click the link down below in the description to apply. Now, let's go ahead and get back into the podcast. Let's go.
You told me the other day you were going to get your daughter involved in the
Yep.
business. What's your thoughts behind that, man?
You know, when they were younger, they always said, we're not doing what you do, Dad." They'd always say that, right?
Yeah.
But then as they get older and they see what I do, and they see just the happiness in my life and what I'm doing, it inspires them, right?
Yeah.
You know, showing them the wire transfer.
How important is that, man?
It's like, to me, it's the biggest thing, right? Like, how do I stop them from having limited beliefs?
Yeah.
How do I encourage them to go out and get after whatever it is, whether it's doing what I do or something else? I don't care what you do, but do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Right? Go be happy. Don't feel like something is too difficult, it's too hard, it takes too much work. Like, it doesn't matter what it is, you can make it happen, right?
Yeah.
And so,
How important do you think that is to be able to demonstrate that, to show and inspire your kids?
I think it's everything as a dad. I think that's like one of the most important things, right? Besides being an example to them in life. But our job as parents and as fathers is to teach and lead.
How tough do you
Right.
think that is? Because I have this type of conversation with a lot of people, and I think, I think what you're saying is, I couldn't agree more. But when you peel back the curtain
Yep.
and look on what's really going on, right? Being an entrepreneur is pretty tough,
It is.
right? So is being a salaried 9-to-5, fixed income employee.
Yep.
So there's going to be pros and cons, but being a business owner can be stressful. So how do you navigate that with your kids, trying to be the example, trying to balance stress and what life throws at you?
I think, as I've gotten older, I don't think I was great at it when I was younger. When I had my first daughter when I was 21 years old. I didn't know anything,
Yeah.
right? I mean, and so as I've gotten older and to the point I'm at now, I feel like I've gotten a lot better at it, being able to teach and lead them the right way. I think it's not difficult. The way I think about it is, how do I just be the example to them, right? I think about the man that I ultimately want to become. What would that man do? What decisions would he make?
Yeah.
And this comes down to whether it's my kids, how I act in business, how I'm working out, how I eat. What would that man do? And so I think about that all the time, is what would that man do? What decisions would he make in his life, right?
Yep.
So actually, I don't I don't think that it's hard. I think that it can be hard if you overthink it, but it's really just doing the right thing. And each child, as you know, going to have 5, which is insane to me.
It is insane. There's something wrong with me.
It's going to be a fun ride for you.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
There's going to be no shortness of adventure, that's for sure.
Not. I think it's, I forgot where I was going with that, but I think it's...
You're saying it's not hard, it's just, it's something you probably got to be intentional about, right?
You got to be intentional about it, for sure.
Yeah.
Right? How you react to things. Like, I remember when I was younger, I was quick to overreact. I was quick to be a little too tough, a little too sharp.
Yeah.
Right? And as I've gotten older, it's like, there's no need for that.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think the tough part in showing them is, being an entrepreneur, there's times where you go through that journey where things are tough. Mentally, financially, right? And so how do you show them that there's stability in that too? Because they also want to see that.
Yeah.
Right? And then how do you use that to then inspire them to go after the things they want, right? So when you show them, say, a wire transfer of $62,000,
Yeah.
and say, girls, these are the things that are possible.
This is possible.
Right? This isn't, somebody just talking about it, but doing it. That inspires them.
Yeah.
Because most people, when they get out of college, you go get yourself into $100,000 worth of debt or more. You come out of school, you'd be lucky to make $62,000 in the entire year. Whole entire
when
year.
I was done with the NFL and got my first corporate job, it was a $65,000 salary.
Yeah.
$65,000. And let me tell you, I was broke. Let me tell you. You made it on one deal.
Even back then, it didn't do much, right?
No.
Yeah.
So to show that this is possible in one day on one deal.
Yep.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
So yeah, my middle daughter, Emma, started expressing interest, and I wasn't going to really get her involved until the business had grown more and gotten a little bigger to show her the stability, right?
Yeah.
And really at the end of the day, I was at a meetup and I just was thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? And going through coaching and having conversations with you, and it's like, why wouldn't I teach her from the very beginning, from the ground up, how this all works, the things that have to go into it, really, and make her a part of all that?
Yeah.
How much more knowledgeable is she going to be in going through and learning that stuff, right?
Yep.
So I made her a call, made a call to her and just said, hey, what do you think about doing it sooner than later?
That's so cool.
And then my youngest daughter has been expressing interest in it as well. I don't think she's as sure on her direction, but one thing I know is she's a hard worker and she wants to make things happen. And she's got a job at Ulta.
There we go.
She's in high school. She's in her senior year.
Heck yeah.
She's been after that job for 6 months.
Yeah. Good.
Persistence paid off.
Nice.
Finally got the job. She loves makeup.
Of course, yeah.
Perfume, all that stuff, right?
Yep.
So she is pumped about that.
Heck yeah.
So yesterday she actually had her first training day, and
that's cool.
so I hope to just continue to inspire her too, right? Whether it's working with me or doing something else, just pursue your passion and pursue what you want to do in this life, and don't think there's anything that can hold you back.
So for someone who is just looking to get started, what would be the advice you would give them?
One, surround yourself with the right people. Get out there. Put yourself out there. Doesn't matter if you don't know shit. Get around the right people. Go to meetups, right? Really just start to grow that circle of people that you're around all the time. When you're financially able to, and even before that, find a mentor. You're not going to learn everything on the internet. I mean, you can, and you can learn a ton of stuff, but I think ultimately you're going to have or should have a mentor. Speed that process up. Hire a coach, hands down. I think back early in my days as being a lender, I used to think coaching was crazy. I was like, why would I pay that much money just to...
Right.
It was such like small
That was
minded
me too, dude.
thinking. Like,
That was
what
me
the
too.
hell was I thinking? And then when I finally did get a coach, I saw my business double, literally within like 3 months.
Yeah.
Because it was like, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, and go do this. Just small tweaks in the business made that business jump. And then from then it was like, I'm a 100% believer. And I think that's whether it's in business, your personal life, and all, physical fitness, maybe hiring a trainer or somebody to guide you and how to go about that journey, your diet, all that stuff, right? Having coaches and mentors around you to teach you and lift you up. Because as we know too, in this journey of entrepreneurship, it can be lonely at times.
Big time.
Feel like you're on an island. And
Yep.
so having that support and that encouragement to lift you up when there's times that you feel down or things aren't going your way, you lose a deal, shit's not going the way you thought. Like having those people around you to lift you up and encourage you. And that's what I mean by having the right people around you, right? Don't surround yourself with people that are, victim mentality, right? That have shitty attitudes, that don't look at life the same way. Don't waste your time with that.
Yeah.
Don't feel like you're going to fix them either.
That'll drain you.
It'll drain you. And
Yeah.
they're going to drain you,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
find the right people around you that are going to support and encourage you and want to uplift you and see you succeed and get after it, right? I see the people that I'm surrounded with, like Bobby, my buddy Mitch, Rich. These guys, when we close deals and we do things and we make these big checks or close these deals, and it doesn't matter if they're big or small, it's all encouragement, it's all love, it's all, dude, nice job, buddy.
Heck yeah.
Versus, I can say maybe with some older friends, that wouldn't be the case. You're rubbing it in, you're
Yeah.
bragging.
Yeah.
When really you're not, you're just super pumped, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's made 62 grand, bro.
Yeah.
Come on. Like, it's not a brag. It's just
Yeah.
like, I'm excited. So, but when you're surrounded with the right people, with the right mentality, those people are going to encourage you and be like, hell yeah, bro, let's get another one. Right?
Yep.
So I think having those people around you is important. But that, mentorship, meetups, I think all that stuff is where I would start.
I love that, man. Well, dude, it's been so much fun.
Dude.
This is awesome. I'm
a
going to get out
pleasure.
and give you a big hug. It's just been super fun and great to have you, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having
And
me.
to celebrate this, to talk about you, your story,
We're going to go throw down some food.
we're going to throw down
Let's
some
get
food
down.
next. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So,
Excited to meet your wife, too. And
for sure.
so
Absolutely, man.
gonna be
All right,
a good
brother.
time. I love you,
It's
man.
been fun. Love you too, man.